Let me first go across to Amitabh Kant at the moment. Mr. Kant, thanks very much for speaking with NDTV. Given the fact that we have these prophetic reports like the Madhav Gadgil report that, like I said, remain pieces of paper, my question to you is very simple. Could this tragedy have been averted?
Of course, it could have been averted because this is one of the world's 8 hottest biodiversity hotspots. This forms a part of an area which is very, very unique in terms of the Kabani and the Chaliar River originate from there. The area is full of biological reserves. It has wildlife sanctuaries. It has a number of national parks. And the challenge as far as Wayanad, I see it, is that in the 1950s, almost 85% of Wayanad was green forest. Between 1950, as one of the studies, a recent study has shown, between 1950 to 2018, 62% of the green forest has disappeared, and that has been replaced by plantation crops. It is the plantation crops during 1950 to 2018 have increased by 1,800%. That is rubber, coffee, tea, all of them have increased. Now, plantation crops are very ineffective in holding soil, and they are, if you compare them to dense forest, that's almost like a devastation to that area. And the other thing that has happened is that if you look at nearly half of Kerala's comprises of hills and mountain regions, where slopes actually exceed 20 degrees. And therefore, it makes Kerala and other hilly areas also more prone to landslides. And therefore, whatever we do in these areas, you need to be very sure of the carrying capacity. What I have seen in Wayanad in recent years is that there has been a huge mushrooming of tourism resorts,
right,
without any carrying capacity studies. There have been roads which have been constructed, tunnels which have been dug.
Right.
There has been massive quarrying activities, and all this has impacted the region in a very big way.
Yes.
So my view strongly has been that we should have taken the recommendations of the Gadgil committee very seriously. And Kerala is very, very unique. It's very unique. And whatever we do, we should take carrying capacities into consideration. We should build infrastructure which is very climate resilient. We should be very careful about and do very serious evaluation when doing land use changes, because any major land use changes that you do will lead to landslides and flash floods. So these are very, very critical areas. And I really personally feel very devastated, because I was collector of the neighboring district, Calicut, which was adjoining Wayanad. And Wayanad has actually a huge history, and it was remarkably pristine. It was remarkably green. It was remarkably it's a very unique destination, and therefore we should have been far more careful, and we need to be very, very careful about undertaking any construction, any further roads or any further tunnels which have to be made in that area.
Right.
That will have very severe repercussions on Wayanad in the future.
Okay. Well, this is not a Wayanad story alone, and irrespective of which political party has been in power, whether it's Kerala, Uttarakhand or Himachal Pradesh, protecting the ecology has always been looked at and branded anti-people. These two reports that we just talked about were essentially never put into place because they were anti-people. How can we change that mindset?
No, these reports are not anti-development. They are, they take a long-term perspective. They are pro in many ways. Gadgil committee reports, etc., they're based on scientific studies, and therefore we need to build consensus around them. And that's very important, because whatever we do, the challenge for us is that development and sustainability have to go hand in hand. We can't do reckless construction. We can't be building roads. We can't be building tunnels. We can't be doing quarrying activities in these areas, which are very eco-sensitive. These are one of the finest hotspots of the world, biodiversity hotspots of the world. And the more we do it, we'll leave nothing for future generations. We'll destroy them. And that is why there's a huge warming in the Arabian Sea, which is leading to huge rainfalls in these areas, and therefore leading to massive landslides.
Yes.
And to my mind, we need, all of us need to build political and administrative consensus for the people of that region,
right,
for the sake of development of India, that we don't do reckless construction without taking carrying capacity into consideration.
Okay. It's very interesting that you talk about the warming of the Arabian Sea, because of course what we are seeing is nothing but the impact of climate change. But what's really devastating is that it's being made a whole lot worse by us, by people. Like the UN chief said, climate crisis is slipping down a very crowded global agenda. You also wear the hat of the G20 Sherpa. I want to understand from you, how can we make this agenda number one?
So, in all these Western Ghat regions, also hilly areas of Uttarakhand and Himachal, we need to be extremely sensitive to and make sure that all development is sustainable in nature. We can't have mass tourism in these areas. We need to be very, very careful. Whatever we do has to be, and I've always believed this. Kerala tourism was a very unique study of high value tourism, of doing away with mass tourism, because mass tourism has very detrimental impact in terms of construction, in terms of loss of cultural values, in terms of loss of local ethos. So I've always believed that the world of tourism is also moving towards being extremely sensitive, and people across the world, high value tourists who go, want to give to the destinations rather than take from it, in terms of culture, in terms of ecotourism, in terms of responsible tourism. And therefore, what these destinations should look for is very low footprints, very low human footprints. And we need to build consensus that very little of construction, just about no, and that'll add greater value to my mind if you do, compatible development. And if you are able to ensure that all development which is done, it takes into consideration the fact that these are very, very sensitive areas, prone to landslides and prone to flash floods. And therefore, we need to do everything which is compatible to sustainability in these areas. And, political consensus is critical for that. Yes. And I think the challenge for political parties is that they must build consensus on all these critical and important areas of development.
Yes, but I also want to ask you, a day after these landslides swept the Wayanad region, the union government has now for the 6th time issued a draft notification to declare, over 55,000 square kilometers of the Western Ghats across these 6 states, including Kerala, of course, as ecologically sensitive area. But the truth is, on the ground, when it comes to political parties or when it comes to governments, in the lives versus livelihoods debate, it's always the latter that has won. And that's something we haven't been able to change or fight on the ground.
So, to my mind, saving lives is critical. Therefore, in these regions, we need to do more of reforestation. We need to do more of sustainable agriculture. We need to do more of value addition on agriculture rather than changing the very basic nature of land cultivation by switching over to plantation crops. Plantation crops will do immense damage to soil conservation in that region. Right. And therefore, sustainable agriculture and reforestation is the way forward.
All right. Amitabh Kant, thank you very much for your time.